So, so a big concern that, or a big way that I view the NBA and some of the false narratives a lot of people give it is this best player debate. So I look at one of my favorite players, one of my two favorite players is Steph Curry. Um, Between him and Mike Conley, I got a couple other favorites. Damian Lillard's another uh, another top player of mine, and uh, my two favorite I grew up watching coming up was Reggie Miller and Dwayne Wade. Those are my guys too. But focusing on Steph Curry now. So I don't understand for the life of me how in any way you can disclude him from being one of the top NBA players in this era over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe. Um, there's a lot of things that bug me about the way he is described and the way his game is criticized. So, for one, a big knock people have against Steph is the fact that he supposedly shrinks in the postseason. Yet, when you break it down, he in the postseason, his every single one of his numbers in his statistical category go up. Scoring numbers up, um, scoring numbers up, assist numbers up, rebound numbers up. Maybe not last year because he's averaged such. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, but I mean he averaged 30 that year, and so I mean going up from 30 as a 6'3" point guard, that's an unrealistic expectation. It's just a little far fetched and an unfair expectation, I would say. Um, and not only that, not to mention, so then we bring up the height factor that he really is 6'3", 185 pounds soaking wet. Uh, in the first place, other than between maybe him and Allen Iverson, really the only players to notch that 30-point average over a season. And the biggest another huge part of that is goes unspoken for, and I would say it's acknowledged, but it's not credited or valued the way it should be. Is what people are glossing over and skipping over is the fact that not only did Steph average 30 in a season, but he put up that 30-point scoring average and really didn't play any of the fourth quarters that season. So let's be honest. I mean, the dude, his lifetime, when he has been the focal point of the offense and has not been injured, he's always been capable of scoring uh, at any time, or to average 5 to 10 points in a quarter easily. I mean, if I've seen him consistently put up 15 to 17 for 20 game stretches in at some point in some quarters, either the first because he likes to start hot, or either third is where he flourishes the most, and when it comes to scoring. So you could easily say that there's a very honest and realistic possibility that had he played full games over the course of that year, we could have been witnessing a, you know, 6'3", 180-pound guy averaging anywhere between 35 to 40 points over the course of an entire year. Now, that is just ridiculous. Not to mention keeping up your assist number at, I believe he averaged 6 assists to go along with that. That is just ridiculous. And tack on another 5 rebounds. That's just it's unreal. And the dude averages uh and he's not even really at this point in time, it was just a couple of years ago where everybody was talking about how he was a potential top player in the NBA, and then all of a sudden, in a 2 year span with no real drop off, people just discluded him from the conversation. When, to be honest, he's only gotten either stayed the same production or only gotten better. So that is just beyond me. But what I have come to realize, and I'm starting to see that these narratives and these views, people just are really just don't want to give him credit for whatever reason that is. I don't know if it's uh, the little light skinned, skinny dude factor, or if it's the uh, I was born into an NBA family factor. For whatever reason, people don't want to give this dude his credit, man, and it is well deserved. I mean, so then there's that factor, and the fact that people write him off as a two guard because he's a scoring. No, he's a true point guard. He is an extremely talented. Uh, Make no mistake, because they exist in this league. He's simply a scoring point guard. We've had many of them uh, over time in the league. We've had who else? There's been many scoring point guards. We have them today. I mean, Damian Lillard's a scoring point guard. Russell Westbrook at heart is a scoring point guard. James Harden is a complete scoring point guard. So as soon as it comes to Steph Curry, everyone wants to bring up, well, he's not really a guard because of his shooting skills and his scoring ability. They want to throw him into a two guard position. Uh, Now, mind you, I'm not one of those bandwagon Golden State fans. I've been a Golden State Warriors fan since about 2005. And at the time, Dwayne Wade and Monte Ellis were my favorite NBA players. So I followed the Warriors strictly because of Monte Ellis. He left and we drafted Steph Curry. So, I'm knowing that my team's going to be in good hands. I never was really a big Steph Curry fan. Before then, I'm about the same age as him. So, I played point guard in high school and college, and, I kind of viewed a player like Steph Curry as somebody to measure myself up against. So I never really looked at him as a fan, but, he's grown on me. He's shown his success and his skills and production in the league. So I just look at it as respecting a player who's deservingly so of that. So then we bring up the other concerns. Nowadays, the one comment I have been hearing a lot is, can they be the best player on a championship team? Is how people have been evaluating some of these players. And so you got players who are considered as some of the best in the world. You throw, let's see, for in the main focus, we got probably about 3 to 4 uh, confirmed in that conversation, which is Giannis, LeBron, uh, maybe Kawhi, and KD. And it's like there's a point guard bias. Like, just because certain players are point guard, they can't be in the conversation. Why can't Steph be in that conversation? Why can't Kyrie be in that conversation? I'm not the biggest fan of Kyrie, but I think he deserves to be in a conversation, at least like a top five convo or whatever. I still think Steph's better, but you have that, and it's like, okay, well, if we're measuring athletes or basketball players by that expectation, how do you immediately throw KD above Steph in consideration for the best player in the NBA? How was Steph Curry 2 years ago regarded and almost confirmed as the face and the best player in this league, and 2 years later, he's not even allowed to be in this conversation? He successfully did that. was the best player on a championship team. Um, I almost discredit LeBron's because except the one time he won in Cleveland when he did beat Golden State, he was the best player. But it's hard. I didn't qualify. Steph got there before he did because I believe the Warriors won first, right? So Steph got there before he did because I didn't really categorize LeBron on either of those Heat teams as the best player on that team. Sure, ability wise, he's the best player on that team. He's been the best player in the league for the last decade or this entire era if we're going on ability wise. But as far as realistically the best player on that Miami Heat, those Miami Heat championship teams, I'm sorry, but D Wade has always been the best player on those championship teams. I'm not going by numbers. I'm not going by physicality. I'm going by the manner in which he showed up at certain times in the game, in which he's had a knack and showed a consistent ability to do for his team over years. Dwayne Wade has always done that for the Miami Heat. He's come up big. He's had to pull LeBron aside to get him to get his act together when he wasn't coming through in crunch times in big moments of the game. So I give the most of the responsibility I give to Dwayne Wade for leading those teams. I'm sorry. So, um, but back to Steph, it's like, okay, well, he's proven he could be the best player on the championship team. It's clear he was the Finals MVP of that team. They just had to give it to an X factor, which swayed the series more, sure, but it doesn't mean Steph Curry's production was down. It didn't mean he wasn't fulfilling his duties. He was just canceled out by another player named LeBron James. Of course, you're going to be canceled out, or you're going to be compromised. Your production's going to be compromised, just like his production canceled out LeBron's production. That's an obvious that's an immediate understanding that that's it's a clear understanding that that's what happens. Something that goes without saying. Um, so he's accomplished that, and he did it at a young age. He did it when he was younger than LeBron, KD, or anyone. So all of a sudden, and he did it with one other All Star, which LeBron hadn't done at that point in time, up to that moment, had not accomplished that. He did when he got his rings. He was with Wade. He was with Bosh. He had two other All Stars. He had an excellent supporting cast. He had three dead eye automatic 3 point shooters in Mike Miller, James Jones, and Ray Allen, who basically saved that finals. And Steph Curry had Klay Thompson, who really wasn't even that much established at the time. I'm sorry. I just have a hard time of uh, allowing certain people to fade out of discussion because players um, other players with improvement and coming onto the scene. I'm sorry, that doesn't just disregard the fact that me personally, I feel that Steph Curry is still honestly the best player in the NBA. And you look at his the team's production, him on the court. His team still produces with him just on the court alone compared to the Warriors with all the other All Stars without him. The Warriors still produce at a higher level than they do with just him than they do with KD, Clay, and Draymond on the court all at the same time. So it's a clear indication, man. So let me know what you guys think and subscribe to the channel. I'll at you.